As you come into higher levels of commanding settings, it's very important to understand how to use all levels of quadrant, all systems, vectors, sectors, and all centers of division location. It's all connected to your levels of hangars. When you understand more levels of space command and your commanding location, you get a better understanding how we use these things through all levels of travel. So I think it's a very information to understand your lines, how it tracks your line centers, and how you use your crystal activation stream. So it's all of us how to use formations on things that we don't need anymore. But it's important to understand why we use crystals. All right. So we're going to go to planetary line stream. We're going to go into a foundation of a planet that has set line conditions, all levels of crystalline connection line system. Once you get there, you get a better understanding. It's an operation command center. So when you see these crystals, you understand why it's so important to have them in your house in all formation, right? It's formations of alliance. It's like little soldiers. So in that calculation, it's all center communication inside your body. Okay. And how to use your body is adaptation line stream. So it comes into meta streams, it's comes into physical streams, it comes into communication line centers. It's all levels of flow. That's all this is. It's a continuous flow that sends line connections, electrical line connections of flow. The flowing recognition tells exactly what it is. The transmitting and the receiving information comes from the crystalline connection, your crystalline inside, your cells, their activation. So to understand the purpose is to understand why they're set in your body through calculation, right? So they laser direct to each one. They communicate to each other each day. And you can learn a lot from inside position, right? How it's set up through crystals, how it's an formation of energy through crystals, how crystals are formed through teleportation, telewaving, telecommunication, or telegraphing. Okay, it's all through hieroglyphics and calculation system. It's all through aerodynamics. The aerokinesis line connections of channel line position of theta communications of all levels of process communication system. So, and you notice my voice has changed again, right? And this is where it's understanding where the avatar knows exactly what atmosphere it's in. Okay, so this is what it's like. You're going to a certain line of mind of travel, and once the atmosphere understands you, your voice changes. It's the altitude location when it comes in the oxygen line. It's oxidized. Okay, you get a bit of more plateau how to use the energy signature location position of time. So it's kind of like if you're in a multitude line center, a multi-universe location of another planet that's trying to understand the planetary surface of you through DNA. Your heat signature patterns are too high. You got to bring down the temperature reading to a certain line connection of clocking, or it's going to off your system location to its planetary line system. And this is where it measures on all levels of you when you land on different planet locations, right? So it's balancing these things out. So they recognize you and you recognize the planet, okay? Because when you land on these planets, they're very familiar on what's going on with you, right? On so many ways and forms. They scan you even before you. Latitude is position, location, longitude. Soon as you plateau and you come down, you're on their planet. So right away, you're automatically scanned. Energy wash communication system. Sometimes you have to go through 3-dimensional door settings, maybe 6, maybe 12. It all depends on what's inside your body. The capacity position, location, direction is trying to understand where it's coming from. How much you know your body is all determined through your calculation system. And the planets of higher levels of channels really recognizes these things. I say your core line centers in the crystalline condition is not connected to the planet division location neutrons. What's happening to photon position, location, direction? It's not centered, is it? It's off location to its ion connection system to the solar plexus location. But the security measures are good. But your sacral doesn't stand its division location to its particle stream. And that's all from a planet, not intelligence. See, everything is intelligence. Everything you see is intelligence. Everything you touch. And it's all about understanding the heightened senses that you get every single day when you are mind traveling. And you guys are coming into your phenomena of its AI position, location, and directions, right? So the planet that we're going to go to is a crystalline planet. Planets don't have names. It's all based on numbers. Okay, so the central communication system is all levels of nu. Now it's going to get extremely complicated. Okay, because the thing is, once you land on a planet, you automatically have to figure out where you are. The oxygen changes, your voice box changes, electrical light connection changes, your heart changes, everything changes in your body because you're in a different dimension of time, of space. Okay, so understanding the planet that you're on gives you a better track location. Okay, this is a crystalline planet in the calculation system. And your starting line, position, and directions. Let's change the coloration. Okay. Now, crystalline comes in all ways and forms: antimantle, antimantium. You come into silicone, you come into carbon location. That's where you guys start off line center. But in that dark locations high system is to understand how to recognize on lines into its chakra line communication. Each planet has its own chakra system. Each planet has its own calculation of its mind, of its memory. Okay? It's like you go out in the ocean and you have to understand when you're looking at the ocean already understands its memory of space and time because it's already done its travel. You guys are just coming into your memories of travel, of who you are, right? So you keep coming back to these things, but you're always moving forward, right? So it's a beautiful thing when you understand how crystals are a representation of you in all ways and forms. This helps you to get a better understanding why we use crystals, why we form crystals into teleportation units, all through a T reception line or computer adaptation system. It's all connected to the geolocations, right? The geometrics energy of operation. So it's started location of this line connections, right? So once we get into colors and line stream, comes into highlights and location of codex. CODEX, codex. All right. Now, codex changes line connections to understand the code frequencies. So you got the code line center rotations and position directions, equal line connections and position location. So you can read location line system. All right. So codex line connection to flux capacitor, velocity over volume communications, high centers, flux capacitor communication system, position location directions, center line centers. Now, when you go to this crystal planet position, you guys will be in quadrant line centers of sector communication with your own hangars. You have your own hubs, you have your own command centers, you have your own communication signals, you have your own telegraph line connections, you have your all levels of telepathy waves. So in that correlation, you understand the proper use of all levels of crystals and why we use them on our body, on our hands, or anywhere you want to put them locations, right? They measure you in all lines of protection. Now, it's all connected to your emotional line connections. It's pretty easy to understand these things when you come to an amethyst. What is that? What is an amethyst stone? Well, first off, it's purple. So it's a self-generation light stream, line center location, a settling position location, all of crystal active stream location to the sun. That's an amethyst. The correlation line center location, direct line center location, is directed to 1969. I'm born in 1969. And it's all based on year of track location. Each crystal realm has its own identification of number in each realm location. So when you look at a crystal, you look at it this way, right? And you see the realms, you see the portal locations, right? So you look at the crystal, you see all those realms, those are identification of stream centers. Each stream has its own correlation of panel. So setting line, position, location, energy line signatures opens all communication what a crystal activation stream can do. An amethyst line center gets rid of what? Depression, anxiety, stress. Okay. How to use it is another thing. You understand that you have a crystal in your hand, right? But for the crystal to become yours, you have to activate it. To activate it, it has to recognize you in every single part of your body location, the crystalline connections. Each cell is a representation to its core. Okay, that's a magnetic strip That's identification code line system that reaches provisions to its calculation to its high stream. Each round box location is a crystal activation line connection, right? So in that core line center, travel position location code X. Now the velocity line center is going to change position times calculation times line times over pi. Now the vector communication is sector communication into perimeter, setting communication line system into all levels of division locations, into dimension, interdimensional location, interline centers and position location calculation, security measure communication system, galactic, intergalactic location to AI tech, travel line position location directions, set communication signals, travel line system. All right, so you guys have traveled through the cortex line connection of codex. All right, so have fun with that line center. You'll automatically be scanned through energy cycles, energy scans, energy surface, energy rotation interference. So you're going to be scanned 6 timeline streams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Scan 6-dimensional door line centers into the planet location, the high center location of codex, right? That's the crystalline center locations, right? So it's not the name. It's the letter of its name. You understand? So don't get confused. They say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, it's not in the vocabulary to make any sense because we all based everything on what? Vibration and energy. Even if it's blah, 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 blah. Doesn't matter. It's energy. It's vibration. It goes somewhere because it's your intent, what your thought is, right? So it's you have no idea what I just said out. Doesn't make any sense to you, but I don't want to do it through my intent. Ooh, So 6-dimensional door line settings, location, position, and directions. All right, you're going to be scanned 6 times. Okay, 1, 2, because everything is security panel line center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-dimensional door lines. All right, so have fun that line center. All right. So understand crystal is also a formation of abundance. You get a calculation connections, all right, line center locations. There's all different levels of crystal location, different frames, different numbers, different patterns, different calculation system. But it all has realms of calculation system lines. Okay. So it directs redirect line center, line position directions, and calculation stream, setting connections on position to all levels of calculation. So when you look at crystals, you have to understand the representation, what it is. It's all formation location, right? It channels in all levels of operation to realms of teleportation units. All right, so we start out 3 locations, 3 different crystal line connections. All right. Now, if you look at the design, this is kind of like a Z-line center. See the Z-line? Everything has an alphabetical code string, and it's all levels of codex. See, it calculates and modify. Everything has to be created through source of planetary line connections. Every crystal is created just like you're created through the particle sun. So if you understand that positions, we can move on. Now, the systematic line connection understands the calculation system. So it's all line center. It sets out sonar communication systems, indirect locations into 4 channels of operation. Okay, sets out signals. Setting out signals sets up teleportation units to all levels. This is where you come into line position location into geo. The geographical energy of its operation. Okay. Then you come into your GPS, the geographical energy of its perception. Okay. So when you come into GPS, the grounds of the perception changes all levels of its systematic line connections of its operation to its AI position, location, directions. You become more aware of everything through locations of crystal activation stream systems. So you can use crystals and all formations of protection through lights, teleportation line centers. But you understand, what is the importance to use a crystal? What is your intent? So if you understand your intent here, it doesn't matter what comes out of your mouth. Does that make any sense? Right? Something that's worded not right, it doesn't matter. It all has its command. And we use it through calculations when we look at letters, the alphabetical stream. That's what you guys have to break through code locations. You have 26,000 lines of letters, 26,000 lines of numbers, shapes and symbols to break free. The correlation line center in position is 12,000 locations. Okay, 12,000 times one line center is all line center locations to what? 12 million, 12 billion. 12 line positions in one line center location into 12 cycles in position locations into 12 zillion line connection. But it's just numbers, right? Doesn't matter. It's all levels of your intention. What is your intent follows through, right? So like I said, it's blah, blah, blah. Doesn't mean anything to you, but it's already set out, right? So you're looking at balance, you're looking at levels, and you're looking at communication. Balance, levels of communication. So it's not blah, 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 is it? So it sounds like this. So to understand line connection is to understand what is your intention, and it's already set in signal. So it sets up line communication right away in track location. So blah, 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 this and blah, 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 that. It's already set out, but it's your intention. All right. So now you understand the importance, how we don't look at words, we look at the letter, because the letter is the word. I told you in so many ways you look at B. B represents locations of levels of balance. Okay, in position locations, in direct line centers, into button. Okay, in position locations, into what? Bump. And so on, all through B. Now, understanding how to use that through correlation is its crystallization stream. The crystal stream is the center operation. This is the center communication to all levels, its operation location, right? So to really understand what a crystal is, it opens up all realms of so many multitude levels of multi-universe line connections to position of time. So the crystal streamline center in line center rotation has its flux capacitor channel. Direct location is the division of timeline center. Now that opens up the security bubble in communication system, position of direction. So line communication system sets line connections of codecs. Codex is a communication operation of division of X line connection of XT position. XT is an X line center of an X ray, which is calculations to relay, which is a relay program. It's an XT line center, which is calculated to what? To a UFO position. A UFO position location is its correct active stream center that's connected to your scan systems. This scans your line communication to your mainstreams. Multi-universe line center location of high system. It's all through visionary cortex locations, guys. And this is where it comes into all line connection, right? So when you're travel locations, you're opening up center position location of stargates. Okay, stargate here, travel location, into another line connection. So we use crystals as a formation of alliance. There are also teleportation units. They have their own command center. They have their own realms. They have their own teleportation locations. They also have their dimensional settings into anything through vortex communication, right? All through realm connection, right? From here to here to here, right? So once you understand the stargate position, you get a better calculation high stream into more levels of your abundance. Now this comes into information what Belinda was talking about where it comes into your academies of crystal locations. You get information to higher level systems of yourself. So when you understand this Stargate line center, it opens all line position location to 3 triangulation systems. Okay. Now that changes the fault. The fault line center location is its vault. Vault line center opens all communication line system to all levels and how you use the triangulation position of time. The setting signal is its time capacitor. The high channel line operation system platitudes division location to your calculations, setting new position, direction, location into your crystal activation streamline system. Okay. So to understand what crystals are used for, get you a better understanding. Why is the how, right? We are been through that line center. So once you understand how to set a line communication system, crystals are extremely powerful. They set your emotional system back in balance. all through the crystalline connections to your cells, right? So this is one position, okay? Amethyst, okay? Echolocation and position line crystal communication line system, all of its communication line system, and position location into vortex connection, all right? So understanding, let's say you got cell here, cell here, cell here, cell here. See, it's all line connections of the web, magnetic high information line connections. All right, so it gets a lot more complicated, but the thing is that what you don't see inside, you won't know anyway until you understand AI position location of you through direction. That has its own visionary cortex of theta. Theta process of communication is your line connections. All right, so setting line position location comes into its own crystal activation stream position location of direction and timeline system. Hoo-ah. There's a crystal line connection inside your body. So the central line center, you got a solar tech line center rotation, which is 4. So that's 4 line position location directions, 4 communication cycles, 4 generation light streams, and 4 crystal activation center line rotation in position location to its amethyst crystal. All 3 inside line system. All 3 your cells of operation. Right? So your body forms into a crystal. And that's how it recognizes what you're seeing. The avatar sees it, and the actual self inside location sets symbols in line communication to its cell operation line connections, sets up a matrix line connection to the streamline center, which is a plasma energetic web pattern, opens up a high center communication system, forms the actual shape inside your line communication system of your cell generation light centers of all levels of solar operation. So they infuse each particle line stream into the crystal activation. So to understand product, to understand the program and its communication line connection, is to understand how to see things. If I look at this and I look at the shape, the cells look at everything, right? So the actual avatar, the perception line communication, can form this inside and create its shape in cells, photons, neutrons, electrons. It can form it into this shape. So what is your intent? Your cells are magnetic. They're crystalline. They're crystals, guys. So this is exactly what happens when you change line communication system to all your cell generation light streams into position of a crystal, all through an amethyst location of a stone. Sets the signals, transmitting and receiving locations, right? So now you understand the importance of understanding all the levels of having a crystal, how it all forms the levels of you, balance energy, emotional line connections of human resonance, how you use it through various locations. It's all connected to your voice and grid line center. All right. Madeline, how you doing? Barbara, Don, Yolanda, Pam, Art, Gypsy, Glinda, Jojo, Tina, Nikki, Eric, information line center, scan position of true light, off calculation, off position, off directions. Put it back in light track interference. There you go. So there you go, Eric. True light will be fine. All right. So Pyra, Danielle, Skyla, Danny, Yolanda, JP, Jill. Let's see. Bala Girl, Sunny, Barbara, Airbender, Heather, Michael, Johnny, Cindy, Jessica, Chris, Val. All right, Tara. It's great to see everybody. So now you understand, Lindsay. You have to really understand why you have crystals, and now you know, right? Because they are the eyes or the windows of you. So it directs and redirects signals in position of channel line center, the panel communication line stream locations, right? Nobody said this was going to be easy. Some days are harder than others when it comes to communications all through an amethyst stone line connection to position directions. Right? So once you understand the cells, you understand why they move so fast. But remember, your voice grid is your intention. You create these things, sideline connection creates its own anomaly of space line position. So your space actually becomes your pi times calculation, guys. All right. It's very interesting. Look at these things. Pyrite, all different locations, shales. There's all different stones. There's marbles. Anything has a calculations to a crystal activation string. But see, the thing is, everything is energy. Even a piece of string is energy. But if you look at it really, really close, here's a string. That's a string. So basically, if you separate it, this is what it looks like. It's just particles. That's all it is. You're breaking up particles of atoms. Everything is connected to down line center, which is connected to the source communication system, which is all levels of you through your circle line connections, direct locations. You start with this line connections. Now this is this. So once it comes into that, it comes into higher, more frames, and it breaks up more patterns of communication to crystals, right? So it separates in all line position. So to understand more levels of you understand how fast this is in calculations, all right? So this is all through a piece of string. Okay. How many layers is all determined location to one cell generation light connection? All right. One piece of string is this. All right. So it surfaces and breaks up. So this breaks up all in particle line connections. So if you look at the core right here, right, you look at the center position right here, right? So you keep going in and 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 in. You're going to see the atoms and particles. So it's going to be separated, but it's going to be levitating. It's going to be floating. So it's going to be the oxygen line center calculations. So there's a reason why this is set in its position of its own time. Okay. So there's a reason why this has volume. There's a reason why this has structure. There's a reason why this has its own calculation to its own vault inside, shape. It's got circulatory line connection, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's all it has. That's all it needs. If it's higher, it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So if you understand the structure, then you understand the atoms, then you understand the particles, then you understand the cells. Right? So all right, so where are we through calculations to the crystal line condition of the codex? Huge flash of white light, shadow scram, that crystal's so amazing. Good. Actually, 5% gram of passes through line stream. Okay, let's see here. Amethyst line set locations, magnetic highways, navigations, locations. You can use the crystals to benefit that connect first through the body, soul, and mind. Yep. It's very important to understand that because, like I said, it's all about your intent. Okay. And remember, it doesn't matter what you say, it's how you say it through the avatar, through understanding of its intention. The intention is its mind system already set in location. Right? So we break things down first. We don't set locations of words. It's not words first. It's the alphabetical system, which starts with A. Because A formulations on so many word phrases. So it's like a paragraph. You got a paragraph location, and you're doing this. Okay, so you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 lines. Okay, a 5-line communication system, maybe to 100 words. So that's 100, okay, an XT line channel into 5 position locations. So that's 5 million line communication system, direct location to system, position of directions, all through one graph line system. Okay. Now correlation would probably just be 500 words, right? So it all depends on how fast you're traveling through your own clock line centers. So, yep. Take line centers, JoJo out, position location in line center, codex, positional levels of crystal planet line centers, planetary interference location calculations. There you go, JoJo, you're out. All right. You have to understand heat. You have to understand all levels of air. You have to understand the calculations of fire and its water, how it contains inside through your ecosystem, guys. So, okay. So now you get a little bit more understanding why crystals are given to you and how to use them. Four, 5, 9 redirects power, hard connections to its healing of past line, and family connections redirects its power back to line 9 information. You can move an object by putting a different frequency upon it. It will move to the position of that other frequency. Very good. That's exactly what it is. But if you understand more lines of view, then you understand location of your clock locations. So when you're picking up something, it's already traveling very fast. How fast it's traveling is determination of you. Okay? Because it already knows. It already knows what it's doing. It already knows what it's doing through its central operation system. Right? So it's a compute interference. A compute interference is direct locations, and if you understand the sequence pattern to its calculation of its own clocking of its own information system. So when you're picking things up, it doesn't matter what it is, it's already traveling. It's already been where it needs to be. So it comes in calculations to you for the first time, especially when you buy these things for the very first time. But what you understand that it's already been through its timeline. It's already been through its operation. It's already been through its intelligence. Right? So it's already in the future line, but you're in the present line. So these are things you don't want to get confused about. Now, when it comes to crystals, crystals are far into the future. Okay. It's understanding where the point is in its direct locations. So there's many high formation line centers. And then you come into levels of diamonds and rubies and emeralds and topaz and sapphire. All those are calculated and modified inside of you, the correlation. It has to be, because you are all formation locations of space and time. So, and then you pick these things up as you go when you come into your memories, guys. All right, especially when you come into crystals. But each crystal is a representation to you through emotional system. Okay, so you got eyes looking at you as you're looking at the crystal. So the crystal scans you right away, saying, "Yep, that's the formation location, generalized space time. Proceed. Fine. No, this is somebody else." So you're going to get a twitch. You're going to get an energy signature. Your hands are going to get hot. The crystal is defending its system, especially if it's not its correlation of its host. So this is how it works in position location of space line, guys. You have to truly understand the crystal is its own host. It's its intelligence. It's all formation locations, everything through its own command system. But it will protect its system if it doesn't recognize you. Okay? So, growth and connection to crystal grids, move layers of soldiers. So, probably utilize the energetic properties. You must find and understand how to achieve the matching frequency. Yeah, you got to balance these things out. Basic understanding calculation system, positional directions. Anything you picked up is protecting its system. It doesn't even have to be a crystal. It could be a computer. It could be, structures of this. It has to identify you. And that's the formation, because everything you pick up is the future. And everything you are is the presence of its future coming into the future of you through memory. I look at my phone, it's all levels of memory. It has to be in, it's all levels of calculations, right? So This is a true understanding when you come to that calculation system. But now you understand why it's so important to understand crystals and where they come from, all through source. Everything has to be created by source. It's got to be created somehow. Now you know. All right. Let's see. Standing in the middle of the cave and activating my chi energy, shooting out a blast of white light. And my energy signature is activating them. Seeing the connections here. In calculations, guys, you can go at nighttime, go outside, get a crystal, any kind of crystal, and put it out in the atmosphere line conditions. If it glows, you're in calculation of balance. It identifies your system, and you can light up the sky, right? But if you take it outside and it doesn't identify you, it won't glow. Okay? So everything I say is intelligence. It's you understanding not the why, it's the how of its operation, how it works for you. And again, it's always, always, always protecting its system. Okay, that's what everything is here out here. Even animals protect their system. Anything that you see is a defense mechanism. Force fields, people. Everything has a force field up. Okay, so the thing is too, look at the calculations when it comes into tree insects. You know, they blend into their own tree environment to protect their system of defense mechanisms, you know, and you touch it and it's actually a tree insect. They blend into their own atmosphere so they can protect their system, guys. It's a defense mechanism, and that's what crystals have, right? And that's why it's important. If you're activating something, it has to be activated from where it comes from. Hoo-ah. Yeah, major hall pass to get better understanding how crystals are used now and why you have crystals on hand. Because they affect your emotional system right away, especially if they don't become yours. See, if you go to the store and you buy a crystal, that's coming from somebody. And remember, it's passing down to somebody else, somebody else. How many people have touched that position location and signatures to that crystal location? Not only that, you have to go back in locations and find out who, because that's a lot of energy signature locations you have to let go. So you bring it home and you don't activate the system. Maybe you got about 50 line communications that touch that crystal. That's a lot of dimensional settings at a dimensional time, all through source. That's a lot of intelligent locations, all through crystal location, right? So it's important that you activate these things. And when you activate them, you feel more comfortable and they start protecting you. They form an alliance. And when they form an alliance, they protect you like you wouldn't believe. They set up your e-fields, even if you don't know how. Why do you think you have crystals? They set up your energy signatures, your energy hubs. They create orbs for you in dimension of time. They start line center locations, set up stargates, program settings. If you're in a virus channel communication system, they scan your line centers or eye receptor interference. This is what crystals do when you have them on hand. So it's important you understand these things, guys. Why crystals are so powerful and what they're used for. Right? So activation is the key. We already know that line conditions, right? We already know where to go for that. But it's important to understand once it becomes yours, it's yours there forever. And that ever is a non-existing locations. So it's all about understanding when you're wearing a bracelet or line connections to all levels of a necklace, it's there for you. And the thing, it has its own voice recognition. It has its own dimension, has its own time, has its own space, has its own operation. Okay? So, Yeah, and the thing is too, it's also too because it's looking around, it's scanning. If you have a bracelet or a necklace that you carry and you go outside in line communication, it's looking around and scanning everything in front of you. It's protecting you. Anything that comes at you, it protects you. You didn't know that, did you? No, no, we didn't know that. And this is how powerful crystals are, right? See, the thing is, you have to understand something. Crystals are always in correlation of position of future line. It's never in the presence. It's always way above standard. So think of it this way: it's all formation of creation of AI. So in that correlation, then you understand why we form these things into energy. Okay, and the platitudes are just astronomically insane when it comes into correlation and calculation. How to use it is all levels of you to determination, right? But it's protecting you every single day. If you put it on the windowsill, 3 crystal line connections, 1, 2, 3, right? And there's light coming from outside in location, right? It will set up laser perimeters to your structure of your house. Blink of an eye. Okay? You got to go beyond and see how that works. And when you reach those levels, you can actually see when you walk into your house, you got 3 windowsills of crystals in front of the light position of projector. That's project line center to your sun communication of your programs of your moon. You can look at the lasers all around in calculation. That's protecting aligned locations of your perimeters of your house. So everything is, yep, smarter than we are. Yep. Communication crystals. Yeah. Well, I just want you guys to get a better understanding why you have to look at these things. I know we're way over timeline center interference location calculations. ASAP, we automatically, I'll give you guys 5 minutes, and then you guys set up in Zoom. We have back online locations with Q&A. All right, so after this, we go right to Q&A. So I'm going to take you guys out line center interference of codex, line communication, crystal activity string location, planetary line center. All right, you guys are back. Okay, so hope you guys had fun. All right, get a better understanding, the identifications, all levels, and what crystals are in your position. All right. Yeah, I wanted to make sure you got your time in there, Commander. All right, I want you to miss your harmonizations. All right. All right, so I'll see you guys on Zoom. Adios.